We are citizens of this country, and we're human beings, and we must be respected.
The security forces have, over the past 22 years, been molded mainly to focus on entrenching the former regime, and some elements were largely used by the regime to carry out atrocities against the people they were supposed to protect.
So we virtually started the security sector reform in 2017, precisely in September, when His Excellency constituted a technical working group. This technical working group was composed of members from all the security institutions, and since it is relating to security sector reform, there was a need to also bring on board the democratic principles of holistic approach, where you have the civil society organizations, the other ministries like defense, interior, finance, justice, etc.
If we look at the human rights violations that we are committed by the security forces of the former regime, most of these violations, if we're going to put it on a balance, we can say that 60% of the violations were committed by the security agents, mainly the army. So having a reform mechanism in place to see that the institution of all security apparatus in this country is changed, I think will go a long way in mitigating the impunity that most people suffered during the former regime.
If you look at the SSR agenda, it's basically to democratize the security sector, but also to put it under democratic civilian control. I've always said that the security has been under democratic civilian control, but of course it has been the civilian authority that for a long time has been the one abusing their powers and using the security institution.
The best part in the security reform is the realization that security is not state-centric. Security also has, and as of now, moving towards 21st century, delivering security to the people. It is more about mainstreaming human security. The focus must be on this.
We will have to make the police, the drug squad, the military more effective, more efficient, but more importantly, more professional. That is important.
The security sector reform is linked directly with the TRRC. And you remember during the TRRC, there were a lot of security personnel who were adversely mentioned. So it's still the duties within the complexity of the security sector. We will look at how to ensure that some of those, who were adversely mentioned, as it has appeared in the government white paper, will be relieved, from duties. And
we have seen that during the former regime, before the security sector reform, men and women, the few women that are in the leadership, have really exploited or abused their positions of power. And having a security sector reform will come to balance, will ensure that everybody is given your due, and participation and representation are also inculcated in the structure of the security, but also in the processes.
The SSR assessment identified gaps in terms of the legal framework. While those things are recognized, yet all the security institutions have worked on their own internal legal frameworks, but nothing has been done about that. They are gathering dust. And so I think, sometimes with just the legal aspect coming in, a lot of changes do happen, and it becomes so rapid, because if people can use the law as an excuse, to do certain things, when you change the law positively, they have no other excuse. And I think that's where it's also missing.
Civil society has always had a role to play. It is because of the ways we have delivered security in this country for a long period now. That's why the role, the recognition of the need for participation of the civil society has been downplayed or excluded for one reason, one political or selfish reason for that matter. But they have always had a role to play. But what is important now in this security sector reform and the policies that have been developed so far is the recognition of this critical role and embedding this role and responsibilities of civil society into the governance and oversight mechanisms of security institutions and the delivery of their mandate.
The policy directs, towards, the both strategies, and then eventually it is to ensure that, we have a very professional security sector that is very efficient and very effective, and that can ensure that, the Gambia continues to be very stable and peaceful.
The SSR, if implemented, that is, if implemented, can yield dividends. I expect, as a gender advocate, to see some changes in the security, especially in leadership and representation. At least we have, during the work of the SSR, we have advocated for some representation, some quota of representation in the leadership of all security across the board.
We must understand security is about the people. You get the mandate from the people and you must deliver that protection to the people. That is what the essence of security is all about. Nowadays, there is nowhere where this idea of this traditional security where, one country invades another is almost non-existent, now. Where there are, as captured in the national policy and the defense policy, usually it is United Nations and these international bodies that intervene to sort this out. But what is important is that within the comfort, the reassurance of people that I can wake up from my home, go and actualize myself and be the person I want to be, that is embedded in human security. And that is what we should do. And that is where civil society has a role to play. Understanding the mandate of security, understanding their role, and understanding that this oversight is not just about a National Assembly committee on defense or security, but it is also the responsibility of the media, the responsibility of religious groups, the responsibility of even private associations of people in terms of oversight, that they must be able to take their role seriously, understand that it is their right to participate in oversight of the security institutions, and do this because it is their constitutional right.
Right now we're implementing an African Transitional Justice Legacy Fund, which supports the organizational and capacity building of both security and civil society organizations to train them on issues around human rights and human security. Because even if you look at the TRRC report as well as the National Development Plan, they call for such kind of interventions to help build the capacity of security institutions, but also the civil society community. And so our project basically is working with the military. Already we have organized a meeting where we had a dialogue between the military and the media, where the media understand the role of the military, but also the military understanding the role of the media. We believe that it is through those interventions where relationship could be built, but also knowledge and capacity issues could also be addressed.
There is also a need for reasonable disclosure so that those whom we serve are also aware that what we do is purely to ensure their safety and security.
It will be gradual, but then at the end of the day, we will have a very successful, security sector that will transform and uplift the face of security in the Gambia. Especially from state-centric security to people-centric security, where the safety and the protection of the person, the people, is more important to the security, than the state.
So part of our project is also to work with the training schools of these various security institutions, because these training schools are where security officers, men and women, are nurtured. And so we want to work with them, help build their capacity, that tomorrow, with or without funding, they can continue to develop their own curriculum, have their own training methods, and integrate that into their conversation and training programs.
History has already shown us. And one of the pillars of these challenges is internal security and how we handle our security personnel. How we either tilt them towards advanced security or positive security, if one may call it that. For too long, we have seen every challenge that we have had is about internal security. It is the security turning against the people. So one of the elephants in the room is this. How do we solve this? In the defense policy that is being drafted, it has tried to address this.